Welcome back to News from my stoop. It's been a week of tough truths here in Mzansi, from the continued failure to protect our rural economy to the staggering costs of government mismanagement. Here are your top 10 news stories of the week. We start at number 1 with the most urgent crisis. South Africa's rural heartland is still under siege from farm attacks that claim lives and shatter families. As of November 2025, SAPS reports a heartbreaking 6 murders in Q3 alone, while AfriForum's tracking pushes the annual toll to 50 to 63 across all backgrounds. These aren't random break-ins or simple thefts. They are targeted hits on isolated homes that profoundly disrupt our entire food supply chain and leave communities constantly on edge. We recall the heartbreaking case from January 10, 2025, near Parys in the Free State, involving Themba Motha, 58, and his partner Sarah Nkosi, 61. Motha, who had proudly built his farm through land reform, tragically lost his life shielding Sarah. The attackers made off with 8,000 rand in cash and 12,000 rand worth of livestock. This tragedy on a black-owned farm spotlights the isolation of all emerging farmers. Further north, the disappearance of David Nchilapala, 62, in Limpopo's Vhembe district on February 27, 2025, highlights the brutality of organized livestock theft. His remains were found on March the 3rd, and 25 of his cattle were traced to an illegal abattoir, linking the crime to a wage feud. Most recently, in KZN's Midlands near Howick on November 8, 2025, Johan Pretorius, 52, was abducted. His body was recovered after extreme torture in a Mooi River ravine. With Agri-SA pushing for better safety nets, these stories transcend race, and we must demand that rural patrols and accountability be prioritized to protect all who till the land. Moving to number 2, there's a flicker of progress on the justice front. On November 11, 2025, the nation watched as an Interpol jet landed in Durban, completing the extradition of the alleged masterminds Siyabonga Kezani Ndimande and Malusi Dave Ndimande from Eswatini. After 20 months of legal wrangling, the brothers are finally back to face charges for the ambush killing of rapper Kiernan aka Forbes and his friend Tibz Motsoane on February 10, 2023. AKA was shot 7 times outside Hugo Cafe. Ballistics confirmed the weapons were linked to 3 prior taxi-related hits, exposing a dangerous syndicate. The brothers were nabbed in Mbabane in February 2024, and Eswatini's acting prime minister finally approved the transfer. In Durban Magistrates Court, they faced 24 charges, including premeditated murder and conspiracy, alongside 5 co-accused, with the trial eyed for July 2026. AKA's father, Tony Forbes, spoke outside court of 1,005 days spent waiting. This saga underscores how violent taxi turf wars, claiming over 200 lives in KwaZulu-Natal since 2020, are allowed to operate unchecked. This trial is a chance to demand safer streets and swifter courts. The topic of accountability continues at number 3, with a highly anticipated Durban High Court trial of Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla, 43, MK Party MP. She faces serious charges of incitement to public violence and Cybercrimes Act breaches tied to the catastrophic July 2021 riots, the deadliest unrest since apartheid's end, that killed 354 and caused 50 billion rand in damage. The state's case hinges on 32 tweets and retweets sent around the time Jacob Zuma entered jail. Phrases like, "We see you burning, we see you looting, we see you rising," are alleged to have directly fueled the chaos. Prosecutor Yuri Gangai argues she knew the volatility and inflamed it. Witness Sarah Jane Trent testified the post spread to 164 WhatsApp groups coordinating blockades and arson. The defense, led by advocate Dali Mpofu, countered its protected political speech. However, Major General Gopal Govender mapped clear spikes in riot intensity immediately following the posts, with 5,500 businesses destroyed and 150,000 jobs lost. This trial is balancing accountability against expression, demanding digital literacy and healing leadership. And now to number 4, and perhaps the most bizarre and embarrassing display of government neglect this week. November 6, 2025 saw President Ramaphosa's office confirm DIRCO is coordinating rescues for 17 young KwaZulu-Natal men aged between 20 and 39. They were allegedly recruited by the MK party with promises of 40,000 rand for bodyguard training, only to be routed through Dubai to Moscow, issued Kalashnikovs, and deployed to the trenches in Ukraine's Donbas region. One desperate mother told News 24 her son described sleeping in ditches with no food. The crisis was highlighted by a leaked September 19 letter, reportedly signed by Jacob Zuma, begging a Russian deputy defense minister for their extraction, citing reputational damage to the MK party. This reckless exploitation of our youth is fueled by a staggering 45.5% youth unemployment rate. This foreign embarrassment demands strict oversight of overseas recruitment, a renewed focus on home job creation, and accountability for exploiting the hope of our most vulnerable citizens. Turning to our public finances at number 5, the state-owned enterprises crisis remains a deep structural burden, a fact brutally reconfirmed by the medium-term budget policy statement on November 12, 2025. While Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana lauded debt stabilization, much of the strain stems directly from the need for continuous fiscal support for our failing state entities. Eskom's debt relief package is scheduled to conclude with a final 80 billion rand payment, yet the structural challenges at both Eskom and Transnet, caused by decades of mismanagement and looting, continue to impede the entire economy. The SACP, in its critique of the MTBPS, ironically noted that the process of tenderization itself is a breeding ground for corruption and state capture. This SOE debt abyss prevents real money from being spent on vital frontline services. Fiscal discipline is needed immediately, not just as a promise but as a structural commitment. Next up at number 6, the sheer scale of the theft from the public purse highlights the government's spectacular failure of consequence management. The Tembisa hospital looting scandal, where over 2 billion rand was siphoned through 207 service providers across more than 4,500 purchase orders, remains an open wound. Action SA revealed this month that the procurement system is still wide open, with no decisive action taken to prevent implicated companies from continuing to do business with the state. This failure of oversight extends directly into law enforcement. The Auditor General's report revealed the SAPS has an astounding 3.2 billion rand in irregular expenditure, with tenders repeatedly going to unsuited bidders. In one shocking example, alleged tender tycoon Vusi Musi Kat Matlatla secured a cancelled 360 million rand SAPS health service tender and was paid 50 million rand before the contract was ripped up. Minister Godongwana announced the launch of a new procurement payments dashboard, admitting it could have halted the 2 billion rand theft at Tembisa Hospital had it been introduced earlier. This confirms that the tender system itself is the primary mechanism of state capture. Moving over to the international front at number 7. On November 17, 2025, the UN Security Council did something shameful. They voted 13-0, with Russia and China abstaining to formally back Trump's 20-point Gaza plan. They are labeling this stabilization, but I call it heartbreaking complicity. We are forced to look at the numbers we cannot ignore. Over 69,000 Palestinians killed since October 2023. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, over 127,000 missing or buried under rubble. 1.9 million people are displaced, and that is 85% of Gaza's entire population. 500,000 people are facing a catastrophic hunger right now, and 1 in 4 buildings have been destroyed or severely damaged. 0 functioning hospitals remain in northern Gaza. This supposed international force is meant to bring aid and security after Israel withdraws, but there is no firm timeline. There is no guarantee the blockade truly ends. There is no real path to a sovereign state, just vague promises of reconstruction sometime in the future. Look, I'm not here to pick sides in political wars. I'm here for the kids who haven't had clean water in months, for the mothers digging through concrete for their families, for the fathers who cannot feed their children. That is not collateral damage. That is a humanitarian disaster unfolding in slow motion. Whatever historical tragedy you believe started this, what is happening right now is wrong. Full stop. Staying on the international front at number 8, Candace Owens is the only voice still fighting for the truth about Charlie Kirk's assassination, and honestly, I respect the hell out of her for it. While the rest of the conservative media moves on, Candace is defying a gag order and showing the kind of loyalty the rest of them forgot how to practice. Just yesterday, November 17, 2025, she laid out hard evidence that most people are too scared to even acknowledge. She mentioned about millions missing from TPUSA accounts, leaked chats showing Charlie was ready to expose big donor pressures, door cam footage that the FBI explicitly refuses to release, the bizarre detail of Connecticut agents running a murder case in Utah, and a supposedly perfect professional hit by a lone gunman who stopped for ice cream immediately afterwards. While Turning Point stays quiet and some former friends publicly call her crazy, Candace is standing firm. She's not doing this for clicks, she's doing it because someone has to demand transparency. The FBI has lied before, we have seen it happen. And when the official story smells this suspicious, silence isn't loyalty, it is complicity. I'm with Candace, Charlie deserved the truth, and the whole world deserved it too, especially after we were forced to watch his assassination in 4K. And at number 9, more pain for the consumer. November 2025, NERSA greenlit yet another Eskom tariff rise, a painful 12.74%, ironically effective as of April 1st, 2026. This pushes the cost to 220.92 cents per kilowatt. Eskom had desperately sought 36% to cover its costs. A massive 384 billion rand needed for debt and coal contracts. This hike means the average South African home will see their monthly bill jump significantly, squeezing small businesses and forcing poor citizens to choose power over polls. Eskom blames 15 years of mismanagement and its crippling 254 billion rand bailout. Yet, it still burns 30 billion rand on diesel every year. The reality of energy poverty is the new struggle. The focus must be on demanding real cuts and structural reform, not continuously forcing consumers to bear the load of state failures. Finally, at number 10, a decisive win for the consumer. The Pretoria High Court ruled on October 31st, 2025, that NERSA's municipal tariff hikes were unconstitutional, halting increases for 158 municipalities. The ruling, sparked by an AfriForum suit, mandates that all future increases require full cost studies, public input, and proper hearings. The ruling forces a long overdue rethink, specifically about the estimated 30 billion rand in municipal losses caused by graft. Furthermore, AfriForum's intervention delayed the finalization of a controversial 54 billion rand Eskom NERSA settlement, preventing it from bypassing public scrutiny. Judge Anthony Labuskaghni's clear line is that government must rule with receipts, not stamps, because folks aren't ATMs. This is the underdog's hour, forcing councils to claw open their books and respect the rule of law. That's this week's Mzansi News Roundup. From my STOEP. Facts, heart, and the necessary hard truth from the ground. If you enjoyed this video, as always, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. This is Angry Bird Lady, signing off.